Lately, my whole family, including my tween son Mark, fake name, has been interested in ancestry. Everyone wanted to get tested. We were hesitant because Mark is adopted, but after we read up about it and how there was an option to make sure nobody else could see his data but us, we agreed. We found nothing on the maternal side closer than third cousin, but we did find a match for a biological father. We looked him up on social media. Here's the thing. He's 24 years old, as in he's turning 25 this year. Our son was an anonymous hospital surrender, so we understood that we must tread carefully. The story might not be great, but this crosses a line for us. Given basic math, there's almost no chance that this story is anything appropriate for our son to hear, and talking to this guy feels grossly inappropriate for us to do. We're uncomfortable talking to this guy, or that it's the right move for our family. We decided to tell our son that we didn't find anything about his biological parents, even when we had his complete contact information. He was disappointed, but accepted it. My family thinks we should have told him the truth. We disagree. As our son's parents, we're responsible for protecting him, and we feel this is best. We never promised him that this would come up with anything, or that we would decide to reach out if it did. It was only ever a possibility that we were open to if it was safe and reasonable to do. We've been arguing back and forth all day with nobody else on our side. Is there something I'm not seeing here? Am I the idiot for telling my son we didn't find his biological parents? Edit, son knows he's adopted. I wouldn't have a problem with him having this information at 18. We would even be willing to the point of contacting then. 6 years would give everyone involved a chance to get older. 30 feels different from 24, and 18 is light years away from his age. Is there any possibility that the person identified as the father is the younger brother of the actual father? Well, no. Given the DNA percentage, even if they're somehow full siblings, it's not likely. You are the idiot for telling other family members. So many people were part of that conversation that there's no way this secret will stay secret for long. If your son doesn't get to know, then they certainly shouldn't have been told. Also, he's likely going to try to find bio parents himself again one day, and he might be upset if he finds out that you kept this information from him, especially if his bio dad does want some relationship. This is his story. You can't sanitize it or hide it from him. That will just add to the trauma when he inevitably finds out the truth. And he will find out. This will bite you in the butt. Yeah, 3 people can keep a secret if 2 are dead. OP will have to deal with her son's feelings of betrayal because of the lies. And it's such a stupid secret to begin with. This kid is 12 years old. He's old enough to be communicated with about this rather than be lied to. What's wrong with saying, we did find somebody, but we don't know if they're safe enough to reach out to yet? He's not 6 years old. Surely he will understand when his parents explained that his biological father was too young for a kid and that he is a stranger who might not be safe. 18 is too late. That's the only part that gets me. Why on earth did OP discuss this with anyone other than their spouse? You've turned a private, possibly traumatic subject for your son into family gossip. This will come out now and it will get back to your son. Too many people know. People who will talk amongst themselves and possibly directly to your son. If anyone was to get that information, it was your son. And if he wasn't getting it, then he shouldn't have told anyone. Everyone's the idiot here. I wish you hadn't told anyone else though. My nephew was told the truth about his conception by a "it's only right" person. At 12, he thought my brother was his bio dad. He was very loved, very wanted, but still a product of my sister-in-law's unfortunate accident. Oof, that should have been a secret. He's 32 now, no interest in having a family, full of rage. You'd think of us liars, right? No, it scared the crap out of him to find out at that age. I pray you have no do-gooders like we did. Good luck to all of you, OP. My husband, 37 male, and I, 37 female, have 4 kids. Our twins, male and female young teens, are in 8th grade. Our son, Bayard, and our daughter, Adeline. On Monday, my husband and I both got texts from Bayard that he needed to talk to us when we got home. We found this odd and talked to each other before the kids got home. Once they were home, we spoke to Bayard in his room. He told us that he'd heard that Adeline was being rude to her history teacher. This teacher also has Bayard in a different period. The teacher is also Bayard's baseball coach. Bayard and his friends look up to her. She knows so much about the sport and will talk to them about all the games going on, and she also gives them advice on things. My husband and I have never seen Bayard that mad. He was red in the face. He said he didn't know much of the details, but he heard from some kids that Adeline asked the teacher if she was on her period. We emailed the teacher and got a reply on Tuesday. She admitted everything Bayard said was true and gave us some details. What she said was absolutely horrifying. She said it started when Adeline was talking to some friends while she was trying to instruct the class, and when she told her to stop, Adeline refused. The kids were learning about Thomas Jefferson, and one of the kids asked if he was autistic, as the kid had read it somewhere. Adeline and her friends then made some joke about autistic people, who basically called them stupid. One of the kids on the baseball team, Bayard's friend, is autistic, and Adeline is very aware of that. He's a really bright and sweet kid. The teacher told her that wasn't very nice and tried to educate them a bit on what autism was. This is when Adeline said that the teacher was overreacting and asked if she was on her period. The teacher admitted she didn't call because she had had bad experiences with these types of phone calls and was afraid of how we'd react. We told her she didn't need to worry. After this, my husband and I agreed that Adeline would lose her phone for at least a few weeks, and she needed to write an apology letter to her teacher and the boy she made fun of, even though he wasn't in that period of her class. Adeline wrote an apology letter to both, but they seemed insincere and potentially AI generated. When asked about it, she admitted she used AI to write it. We told her it needs to be genuine, but she's refusing to write a letter. She says forcing her to write an apology is going against her right to express her true thoughts and is calling us names. Am I the idiot for making my daughter write an apology letter? JC, get control of your young teen. There's a difference between sharing thoughts and being blatantly rude. Don't let up on the apology. What an ungrateful, horrible child. Adeline needs to lose more than her phone. Handwritten letter, no phone, sitting at the kitchen table supervised until done. It's the bare minimum. This attitude creates a child who becomes a monster when backs are turned. Throw in an essay about autism and a second one on how misogynistic her asking about the teacher being on her period was, about how in the past women were not allowed to enter churches or schools because they were unclean during their cycles. Not the idiot for the punishment, but man, how did your kid get here? Agree. She had her free expression and used it to be an idiot, so you're not curtailing crap. Free speech doesn't mean consequences free. If she doesn't want to apologize, then it sounds like she needs more consequences. Your job is to parent. That means punishing and teaching to be better. Hold firm. You've got this. I, 25, am a general manager at a shop. I'm not the owner, but I've been with them since I was a teen and worked up to my current position. It's been the perfect job to pair with my classes. As the general manager, I do the scheduling and hiring. The owners trust my judgment and let me hire and fire at my discretion. Last week, I hired a girl, teen from the local high school. She was lovely and showed a willingness to work. She seems a little on the quiet side, but this being her first job, I think it's expected to an extent. There were zero tells or mentions that she may have special needs. 2 days after hiring her, she's not supposed to start until this upcoming week, her father came in and introduced himself to me. He was polite, thanked me for hiring his daughter, and left his phone number telling me to call him after I'm off. I was confused because I've never dealt with a situation like this, but I did call him. He thanked me again, but then said his daughter has severe anxiety and is a slow learner and that I need to make special accommodations for her. Here is what they are. Do not schedule her for more than 3 hours at a time. Please allow her as many 10-minute breaks as she needs when she appears overwhelmed. He said that if it's very busy, it's better to just let her sit in the back room and watch YouTube. Her school comes first, which I understand, but he said she will need to call off when she has significant homework. Give her plenty of compliments and let the other staff know to go the extra mile to make her feel welcome. If she makes a mistake, I should not discuss it with her, but call him. I don't know much about employment law and not sure if I could be in legal trouble, but like every state, we have at-will employment. I called the owner to tell him about this and he said to use my discretion. I want to call the father back and say I cannot make these accommodations, and if she does need these accommodations, I will have to rescind the job offer. I feel for the girl. Like I said, she was very sweet, but at the same time, I do have a business to run. I'm not a special ed teacher. What's the point of hiring her when I will need to be overstaffed to accommodate for her? I just can't do it. So right now, I'm thinking of calling her dad tomorrow and letting him know that she'll be treated like every other employee, and if this doesn't work for her, then she can't work here. Would I be an idiot for that? Not the idiot. However, I wouldn't call the father. I would call the person you employed and talk to her about it. If she wants to join the workforce, she needs to understand what that means. It means she needs to speak up for herself if she has needs in the workplace. I get the impression that the father may have done this, though, without the daughter knowing. My gut feeling reading this is that dad is stomping her boundaries or doesn't want her independent. Ignore everything her dad said and treat her like a normal employee. You're the girl's employer, not the dad. I wouldn't be discussing my employees' matters with anyone but them, the owner or HR. Now, I get you might not have HR as a small business, but if you're the GM, you better damn well get familiar with the labor laws you operate under. If you rescind the offer before she's even allowed to enter your workforce because of a private convo with the dad, you are the idiot. If she could come in for an interview and get the job, I'm sure she can express any need she may have to accommodate her. Give her a chance. If it seems like she just isn't a good fit after a few weeks, you still have the option to terminate if she can't do anything. As somebody who is super anxious, new employers can be super intimidating. I would just talk to her about it and try to make her feel safe. Mini update. Hey you all, thanks for the input. I've decided to give her the job and see how it goes. If she can't handle it, I'll just let her go. I lost my great-grandma in January. She'd been sick for a really long time. I, nearly adult male, was close to her because she and my dad were very close when he was a kid, and she was the grandma who helped take care of the grandkids while the parents worked. My dad always said she was the greatest person. He died when I was 8 and our relationship was extra special after his loss. My parents were separated when my dad died and my mom had sort of moved on already. 2 years later, she moved in with her now husband and my stepsister, who's 5 years younger than me. My paternal family never invited my stepsister along to things, only some have met her in passing. My great-grandma never met her or spoke to her, and they had no relationship. When great-grandma died, she left all the family something. I got my great-grandpa's watch, that she had some work done on to make it work and look a bit more modern today. Of course, this was done before she died. The watch had her and great-grandpa's initials, and he wore it every day until his death. I also got some photos of hers and a blanket she made for my dad that everyone agreed I should have. My stepsister asked a few days after I got the stuff why she never got anything. My mom and her dad were like, I'm sure there are some things. Mom even called my grandma to ask about something for my stepsister, and grandma told her only family was left or entitled to great-grandma's things. My mom was trying to tell my stepsister that she should have gotten something and they would figure it out. My stepsister asked me and suggested we share the photos and blanket. I told her no and said she didn't get anything from great-grandma because they never met or had any relationship. I told her she was my dad's grandma, not my mom's, and they were not family. My stepsister was still upset and started to cry. She asked why I have a whole other family that she doesn't and why they don't want to include her. She's autistic and doesn't always understand social things. She's also had an interest in being around my paternal family. My mom told me it was disgusting to say those things to her and that I should be ashamed for upsetting her and making her feel unworthy. She also told me she was ashamed of how flippant I was about my little sister being left out. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. There's no point in sugarcoating it for her. The best thing to do was to be upfront. This side of the family is not related to you even in marriage, and these items hold a lot of sentiment to us. You did the right thing. Your mom, however, did not by getting her hopes up and then wondering why she cried over this situation. I feel like with her autism, and normal people feel this way too, she has FOMO, fear of missing out. So you have this whole life with your dad's side of the family, and she might feel like she, I don't want to use the word entitled, has a right to that relationship somehow. Sure, because the mom totally didn't reinforce the idea that stepsis should get something. Mom probably believes it's only fair if both teams win a sports game. People like that drive me nuts. There's nothing wrong with experiencing sadness or disappointment. It doesn't feel good. The trend of parents expecting their kids to be generous with their spoiled siblings is strange to me. Is it hard to tell her that she doesn't get anything from a stranger? Your mom and stepdad are raising your sister to be very entitled. I've read too many stories and I'm concerned about the safety of your memory objects. I worry that someone will take some or all of them and give them to your stepsis. I worry that your stepsis might destroy them in anger someday. Storing those lovely memories with a trusted friend or family member might be worthwhile until you are out of the house. I, 27 male, have always had a sensitive stomach. A lot of things mess me up, but ever since I was a kid, the thing that was always the worst was sugar-free sweets. I don't know what chemicals those companies use, but anything that tastes like it has sugar in it but doesn't has been a nightmare for my stomach. Seriously, sugar-free food messes me up. So yeah, fast forward to now and my brother has decided to go vegan. I have no problem with this. He had a birthday dinner yesterday and before the cake was served, I overheard him bragging to his friend about how the cake was completely vegan and sugar-free. I was a little hurt because my brother knows about my stomach problems, but I figured it was his birthday, so whatever. My brother tried to pass me a slice when the cake was served and I said no thanks. He told me that he knew it tasted good and made it himself and asked me to at least try it. I still said no thank you, a little more assertively, and he dropped it. Things got really awkward really quick and I ended up leaving early. Now my family has been telling me that I was rude to refuse to eat the cake. I've tried to explain about my stomach, but they claim that I could have taken a bite to be polite. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Why would they be so invested in you eating a piece of cake even if it didn't give you the squirts? No kidding. Passing up a dessert is not something to be taken personally. It's not like you flipped the table and stormed out. I totally understand your issues with sugar-free foods. I'm highly allergic to stevia, the sugar substitute in everything now, and I will be getting an EpiPen for it soon. I've also had to deny sweets because they're sugar-free and people couldn't tell me what sugar substitute was used. Even if you didn't have a health issue, no one should care that you didn't eat it. It's not some kind of slap in the face. Attending a birthday party and not wanting any cake is completely okay. But next time, accept the cake and leave it behind a couch somewhere. Hope they'll like that. Or tell them you bring rat poison next time to barbecue and will expect everyone to take a non-lethal dose just to be polite. What the heck is wrong with them? I cannot imagine ever being offended that someone couldn't eat something I'd made because they had a food allergy or intolerance, let alone ignoring a food intolerance I knew they had when preparing for an event I knew they'd be at. Your family sounds like a bunch of idiots to me.